I got some good news that mcfrys engine is back from the machine shop. So I just pulled the intake manifold down from the shelf. It's covered in overspray and dirt, oil and all sorts of stuff, so I'm going to give it a good once over. I'm going to clean the carburetors out because E85 tends to leave small deposits of stuff in the carburetors, so I'm going to go through and clean the carbys out and make sure all the nitrous side is working like it should. Maybe spray some nitrous through the solenoids, and maybe also give the fuel side of the nitrous a bit of a clean. Make sure everything is working like it should. So as you can see, it is a very dirty intake manifold currently, and over this side there was a little fire on the left side of the engine when the conrod went through the side of the oil pan. There was a little bit of fire on the left side back here, and did singe a little bit of the braid on the wires, and I just tarnished the aluminium a little bit. So I'm going to pull these carbys off and put them on the bench, give them a good clean out because they've been sitting for so long, and yeah, make sure the nitrous is working like it should, and happy days. So this is my concoction I've got going on here to test out the nitrous. I can already hear a slight leak somewhere. Oh, it went away. The bottle's on. And what I'm going to do is, this is my wiring diagram for this plug back here. I'm going to use this battery and just tap the nitrous solenoids and make sure that they're all evenly spraying. Whew. So left side's working good, let's go to the right. Damn! It's quite cool. That's how cold it is. So I just made up my little squirty bottle thing here. It's got some quality 98 octane in there. Made up this conglomeration here, filled it up with fuel. So now I can just give the fuel solenoids a tap, make sure they're all evenly flowing. Same with the other side. Excellent, that's what I want to see. 4 squirters. Make sure we've got 4 squirters on this side. Make a mess of the ground. Go. G and H. Excellent. So nitrous is working good, which is good. So it's a pretty basic test, but it's a very lazy test, but it works. So I just don't want to pull the solenoids apart because if they're working, they're staying. That's good. So now I'm going to just give this intake manifold a bit of a clean and move on to the carbys. So 2 tins of degreaser, 1 can of brake cleaner. Done a pretty neat job, so I'm happy with that. And I found a crack, which I probably would have never found unless I did give it a good clean out, but you turn the light on. Right in there, just above that port, There's a fine crack, so I might get that welded up. Good thing I did clean it out because I would have never noticed it. Will give me a slight vacuum leak. And it's looking good. I'll clean up the ports and stuff a bit later. But for now, I want to get these carbys done. So I'm going to pull the bowls off, take a look inside and see if the E85 has actually left any deposits, because in the past it has. Generally takes about a year for them to start showing. So I'll have a look, see what we got. Alright, so I'm just going to pull the bowls off, and I did give it a bit of a clean around here because I've been using rubber air cleaner gaskets, and the E85 just seems to, I don't know, mush it into, I don't know, goo. So I bought some new ones that are just the cork sort of material, whatever it's called, so to prevent that from happening in the future. And hopefully I can get this float bowl off without destroying the gasket, which is generally what happens every time I take it off. It breaks the gasket. So if I'm lucky, I'll get it off without destroying it. Also, this book here, the David Vizard's Holy Carburetors, is an extremely handy book for helping out tuning carburetors. Am I going to be lucky or not? Let's split it. Jeez, it can't win. I'm going to go get 4 new float bowl gaskets from Him Performance. They always have them in stock, so I'll get 4 of them ordered now or in a minute. How do you reckon it looks in there? So this is just one of the float bowls, and that's how much goo there is down the bottom there. So I'll take the rest off and see what they look like. I'm just going to do one carby at a time so I don't mix up any of the float bowls and stuff, but that's all the stuff inside. Be the secondary or the primary this side? Secondary. So it's pretty funky in there. So I'm going to clean out both of them. I'm going to undo the needle and seat, put a new O-ring on the needle and seat, because when they sit, that's where they tend to leak. They tend to leak up past the needle and seat, and then fuel ends up coming out. I think it ends up spurting out the top here and just filling up, pretty much just flooding the motor. So I'm going to put new O-rings in here and clean that crap out. Alright, so this needle and seat is like super crusty. All powdered everywhere. So it's going to need a really good clean, this carburetor. I bought some needle and seats a while ago. I can't quite remember what I got them for, but I'm going to use the O-rings off these, replace these ones, because they tend to, it's like they shrink up and then the fuel just runs straight past the O-rings. So I'll put new O-rings on these, give them a good clean up and get it back together. It has just started raining. That's about as good as it gets for cleaning that out. There's still little bits. Turn the light on. It's like it permanently sort of stains the bottom of the bowl. But I got it all out. It's more like a powdery sort of stuff that the E85 leaves. And down in here where the O-ring sits, you can see like a build up of powder. I've just been using a bit of everything, WD-40, carby cleaner, acetone, whatever works. A bit of everything. Just been using a screwdriver and a rag, jam it in there. Oh, it's grinding away them crusties. Scrape all them off so the O-ring has a nice seal. I did go to use these new needle and seats I bought, but then I realised there's a slight difference in length. One goes up a little bit further. I can get them to work, but I just have to bend the float. So I'm just going to use the old ones and just put a new O-ring on them. And I'm going to give it one more bit of the 98 fuel. One last clean in here. Then I'll chuck a new O-ring on that needle and seat, put it back together. I've got to wait for the float bowl gaskets from him. They're generally pretty quick with postage, so once they come in I'll get them on, but I'm just going to clean that gasket off and just seal them up for now. Get them out of the road. So there's the old needle and seats. They're like stuck together. I've got new gaskets to replace the top and bottom on this nut as well. These little bad boys. So with a mixture of 98 fuel, WD-40 and carby cleaner, can get this stuff cleaned up. Get them new O-rings on, put it back together. I'm no carby master, but I've had to do this in the past, so it works. So I just give them a basic clean too. I don't really go overboard. Just get the air compressor. I'll blow out the high speed and the low speed. What are they called? Air mixture screws. I'll just blow them out. Make sure everything's working. Put it all back together. Just clean this old gasket off with a Stanley. Nothing too exciting going on here. That's it. I'm happy with that. Got the new O-ring on. Clean the nut up. So put a new gasket on first. Put the nut on. Get the screw gasket. And I'll just sprinkle a little bit of WD-40 on this, not much. So the O-ring has a bit of lube. Just slide down in there. Bit of lube. Chuck that bad boy straight in there. And I generally have the floats around there. So I'll just adjust it until the float gets about there. And these are a ton of ram floats also. Yeah, I got like that. area notch at the back there, so when the fuel goes, sits up the back there. I don't know, I suppose under more for racing conditions, that will help float work however it's meant to work. I'm not going to give anyone any hints and tips on how carbys work because it's likely going to be wrong. Ta-da! So that ain't going to leak now. And I'm just going to chuck this, move that down, put that back on there. Always got to remember to flip this over, I generally always forget. The accelerator pump. Just going to put 4 bolts in, and then I will get back to putting a gasket on that when they arrive in the mail. So that there is your basic cleaning out of carburetors. Very basic. When you run alcohols and E85 and stuff, you got to do it every now and then. That's it. Fairly straightforward. I'll just go do the other one now. So I'm going to wait for the float bowl gaskets. Going to get this crack zapped up with a TIG. Get it all back together, and then probably do a few other little maintenance things. Got to clean out the oil accumulator, that sort of stuff. So get everything ready for the engine, and then get McFry ready for summer nats. Burnout Masters. Oh yeah.